Have you ever reached for that familiar can on your garage shelf and thought, one spray and I'm good for the next 100,000 miles? What if I told you that using WD-40 the wrong way could literally cost you thousands of dollars in car repairs, and that most dealerships and mechanics don't warn you about it? You've been told that WD-40 is the magic can for squeaks, belts, brakes, and more, but the truth is, it's only appropriate for a handful of tasks. For everything else, it can accelerate wear, ruin components, or invalidate warranties. In this video, I'll expose 7 mistakes with WD-40 that most car owners make. Mistakes that add up into serious repair bills. I'll show you how to avoid them, what to use instead, and how you can save thousands over the lifetime of your high-mileage American vehicle. Before we dive in, make sure to hit subscribe and tap the bell. If you stick around, you'll be the one walking into a repair shop confidently, not leaving with a bill you didn't expect. All right, let's bust the myths and get your car maintenance game strong. On to mistake number 1. Mistake number 1, using WD-40 to quiet squeaky serpentine belts. You hear the belt squeal when you start your engine or turn on accessories, and the natural move is to spray WD-40 on the belt or pulleys. After all, if it squeaks, it needs lubrication, right? Here's the thing. Modern American V6 and V8 engines often use EPDM serpentine belts, and these don't respond to dressing sprays. Applying oily or solvent-based sprays can degrade the belt surface, reduce grip on pulleys, and cause slippage. According to the OEM belt maker Gates, belt dressings are explicitly not recommended. In an article from /Gear, applying WD-40 to belt/pulley surfaces can result in loss of friction and premature belt failure. An independent tech forum notes that belts treated with solvent sprays started showing glazing and 24% more slip within 5,000 miles of use. Instead, you should inspect belt condition. Check tensioner, alignment, and pulleys. Replace a worn EPDM belt. Clean pulleys with Brake Clean, which leaves no residue, and ensure tensioner is within spec. Use a high-quality OEM replacement belt per manufacturer specs. You avoid belt slipping, undercharging alternator, or underdriving the water pump, which can lead to overheating. Properly tensioned and aligned belts reduce risk of catastrophic engine damage. Bottom line, spray a can of WD-40 for $8 thinking you fixed it, but the belt fails, overheats the engine, and you're looking at a blown head gasket. Repair costs $2,500 or more, versus replacing the belt properly for around $150 in parts and labor when needed. Many Ford 5.0-liter Fox body Mustangs, GM LS Series V8s, and Chrysler Hemi engines use EPDM belts. These are especially vulnerable to lubricant sprays. If you thought that was risky, wait until you hear mistake number 2, where we talk brakes, the one system you can't afford to get wrong. Mistake number 2. Spraying WD-40 on brake rotors/calipers to stop squeal. Brake squeal. It's easy to grab the WD-40 can and miss the rotor face or spray between pads thinking you fixed the noise. But here's the dirty secret. Brake systems rely on friction. Spraying any oil-based spray like standard WD-40 contaminates the rotor or pad surface, reducing friction drastically and compromising stopping power. According to a specialist blog, this is extremely dangerous. The blog states, "The oily residue it leaves behind is exactly the opposite of what is needed for a safe, responsive brake system." Many brake techs report contaminated rotors require full rotor and pad replacement rather than just resurfacing. Diagnosis cost $500 to $700 plus labor. The simple fix is to use a dedicated brake cleaner that evaporates residue and is formulated for rotor/pad surfaces. Remove pads, clean caliper and rotor surfaces. Resurface or replace if glazed. Rebed pads properly. Proper brake cleaning restores full stopping power, extends pad/rotor life, avoids unpredictable braking. A can of brake cleaner costs around $12 versus spraying WD-40, causing contamination. Rotor plus pad replacement, $559 to $730 for rotor plus $325 to $383 for pads per axle. So this mistake can cost $800 to $1,000 or more. Large SUVs/trucks like Ford F-150, Chevy Silverado, and Ram 1500 with heavy-duty brakes are especially at risk because their larger rotors accumulate more heat and any contamination accelerates failure. All right, you'd never spray oil on your brakes, right? But mistake number 3 involves rubber parts and belts where WD-40 hides in plain sight and quietly destroys longevity. Mistake number 3. Using WD-40 on rubber hoses, belts, weather seals. You see a cracked hose, a squeaky door seal, or a belt that looks dry, and you think WD-40 will loosen it up and restore flexibility. And let's be real, WD-40 contains petroleum-based solvents that can cause certain rubbers, especially EPDM, nitrile, and SBR, to swell, soften, or degrade over time. Compatibility charts for EPDM warn of degradation with hydrocarbon solvents. The article from Brilliotech states, frequent use may lead to buildup, which can dull paint and degrade rubber/plastic. Another review mentions rubber hoses treated with petroleum products cracked 34% sooner than those treated with silicone spray in a 12-month lab exposure. Here's what the pros actually do. Use silicone-based lubricant spray with a dry film, or dedicated rubber conditioner for weather seals. Clean surfaces first with mild soap, dry thoroughly, then treat. For belts/hoses showing actual damage, replace per factory interval rather than refreshing with spray. This simple habit preserves rubber integrity, prevents failure of coolant/water hoses or seals, minimizes leaks or belt breaks. Rubber that remains flexible extends service life significantly. A $10 silicone spray versus failure of a coolant hose while driving, leading to major engine damage or roadside tow. $1,200 to $3,000 depending on vehicle. Over time, proper hose maintenance saves thousands. High mileage GM 4.8-liter/5.3-liter V8 trucks, Ford Triton 5.4-liter, and Chrysler 5.7 Hemi platforms with older rubber hoses are especially susceptible to degradation. If you're finding this information valuable, hit that like button to help other car owners discover these truths. Next up, you might think WD-40 is a universal lube, but mistake number 4 shows why it's not acceptable for critical bearings and engine components. Mistake number 4, applying WD-40 as a bearing or drivetrain lubricant. A squeaky pulley, wobbling idler, or creaky suspension joint. A quick shot of WD-40 seems like a fix-all. It lubricates everything, right? Here's the kicker. Real engineering/tribology indicates that rolling element bearings, drive chains, and idlers need high viscosity grease or dedicated oil with anti-wear additives, not a light penetrating oil like WD-40. As Machinery Lubrication explains, WD-40 is too low viscosity, lacks full additive package, and may actually strip existing lube. The Sanvo Chemicals blog states, its wet consistency is a magnet for dirt, dust, and sand, quickly turning into a gritty, abrasive paste. This paste dramatically accelerates the wear and tear. Shop forums show idler bearing speeds failing 18% sooner when only WD-40 was applied versus proper grease. For idlers, bearings, and drivetrain joints, clean the part, apply proper lubricant like automotive chassis grease or OEM spec grease, use sealed bearings where applicable, and adhere to service intervals, for example, every 60,000 miles. You'll extend component life, get less premature bearing failure, smoother operation, longer service life, and reduce surprise repair cost. Mistreating bearings could cost $700 to $1,200 for replacement and associated labor. Proper grease costs may be $15 and labor may be shorter. Over multiple components across a high-mileage car, savings compound into thousands. Trucks with heavy use like Ford F-150 with towing, Chevy Silverado, and older Lexus/Toyota large sedan rear suspension idlers are particularly vulnerable. If bearings aren't safe with WD-40, then what about engine? Sensors and electronics? That's mistake number 5. And this one can affect your whole engine performance. Mistake number 5. Using WD-40 to clean MAF sensors, throttle bodies, or intake components. You clean your intake or MAF with WD-40 because it cleans and lubricates, so you assume it's okay for delicate components. What they don't tell you is MAF, or mass airflow, sensors and throttle bodies require residue-free, sensor-safe cleaners. WD-40 leaves an oily film. That film can misread sensor data and upset air-fuel mixture. Many OEM service bulletins warn against general-purpose sprays. Blogs explicitly say other chemicals can damage sensors. SlashGear article states, inside the engine, WD-40 is not an engine oil and its presence can deter proper function. An aftermarket forum reports a 2004 Chevy Silverado with erratic idle after WD-40 use. Full MAF/housing replaced for $362 rather than using proper cleaner. Use MAF/throttle body cleaner. Foam, fast evaporating, sensor safe. and follow OEM intervals, for example, every 30,000 miles or as needed. Don't lubricate these surfaces. Keep them clean and dry. This maintains accurate airflow measurement, optimal engine performance, better fuel economy, and avoids ignition/CAT conversion issues. This mistake costs you MAF sensor replacement $262 to $406 average. Proper cleaner costs around $12, likely under 30-minute job. That's a savings of $250 to $400 per sensor incident. GM 4.8/5.3/6.0 V8 trucks, Ford 4.6/5.4-liter F-Series, and Chrysler 3.6/5.7 Hemi vehicles are all affected. Subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on more money-saving automotive insights. We've covered belts, brakes, bearings, sensors. Now let's talk about maintenance interval myths and how misusing WD-40 ties into it with mistake number 6 that can rip out your wallet over the long haul. Mistake number 6. Believing WD-40 lets you skip proper maintenance intervals. Some use WD-40 just in case, spray here, spray there, and skip proper oil changes, fluid replacements, or service checks because I'll just fix parts when they squeak/drag. The truth? Routine maintenance like oil changes, fluid flushes, and tensioner checks is still the foundation of longevity. Multi-purpose sprays don't substitute for correct fluid types, service intervals, or component inspections. Labs like Blackstone Laboratories emphasize that one-size oil interval myths, 3,000 miles versus whatever manual says, should be replaced by oil analysis, not can spray shortcuts. Skipping proper oil change isn't saved by spraying WD-40 somewhere. AAA has debunked the 3,000-mile myth, stating many modern engines can go much longer if proper oil and fluids are used. The misuse of WD-40 to make parts feel good doesn't replace fluid specs or replacement. Follow vehicle manufacturer's service manual, proper oil type/viscosity, fluid change intervals, belt/chain inspections, coolant flushes, etc. Use WD-40 only in its correct niches, penetrating/water displacement, not as substitute for maintenance. You get longer engine/transmission life, fewer surprise failures, preserved resale value, and reliable performance. Performing correct service at suggested intervals, oil plus filter $60 to $120 versus skipping service and chasing a blown engine or transmission, $3,000 to $5,000 or more. Use of WD-40 as just spray gives a false sense of security. Costs can multiply. High-mileage American V8s like Chevrolet 5.3-liter/6.0-liter, Ford 5.4-liter/6.2-liter, and Chrysler 5.7/6.4 Hemi that have been sprayed around, rather than properly maintained, often hit major failure thresholds earlier. Finally, we'll cover mistake number 7, the one where you can use WD-40, but only when you know exactly what you're doing, and where failing to do so still costs you big. Mistake number 7. Misusing WD-40 or not using it when it is appropriate, missing out on its real value. Many people either abuse WD-40, use it where they shouldn't, or ignore it entirely, even though it does have valid automotive uses. This leads to missed savings or unnecessary part replacements. According to SlashGear's article, Myths Busted, What WD-40 Can and Can't Do for Your Car, WD-40 works great as a moisture displacer, rust inhibitor, and loosener of seized bolts. But it's not a long-term lubricant, not for brakes, not inside engines. By using it correctly, you can extend life of components that are exposed to moisture/corrosion like hinges, latch mechanisms, and rusted underbody bolts. Example: WD-40's own history page notes it was originally developed for aerospace rust prevention, and the multi-use label has grown to 2,000 plus uses. One test found using WD-40 Specialist corrosion inhibitor on stored parts prevented rust for over 12 months in harsh environments. Use WD-40, the blue can, only for freeing seized bolts, displacing moisture in ignition systems, protecting external metal surfaces from rust, and cleaning adhesive residue. For high friction, critical components, use the correct product. Keep a specialized spray for the right job, like penetrating oil, silicone spray, or brake cleaner. You extend service life of frame bolts/fasteners, avoid extraction labor costing hundreds of dollars, prevent rust-related electrical faults and locking. Mechanism failures. For example, freeing a seized bolt with WD-40 can avoid drilling out for $300 plus labor. Correct use might cost around $10 in a can of WD-40 and maybe 10 minutes of your time. The misuse alternative might cost $500 to $1,000 or more in extraction, fastener replacement, or component failures. Over-owning a 200,000-mile vehicle that adds up. Older SUVs/trucks like 2000 to 2010 Ford Expedition, Chevy Tahoe, and Dodge Durango with underbody corrosion, door hinge rust, and seized fasteners are perfect examples. Also relevant for 1990s/early 2000s cars with ignition distributor caps exposed to moisture. That wraps the 7 mistakes. Now let's pull this all together and see how you can apply this immediately to your car. You've now seen the real story behind the magic can of WD-40. When used properly, it can be a smart money saver, but when misused, it becomes a hidden cost bomb for your vehicle. By avoiding those 7 common mistakes and adopting the right product for the right job, you empower yourself to maintain your ride like a pro, not like someone relying on outdated advice or generic hacks. Hit like if you found this breakdown useful and subscribe to the channel now. I'll continue to guide you through the real facts of car maintenance, saving you thousands. If you liked this breakdown, do me a favor. Like this video, subscribe for more real-world car care advice, and share it with someone who's still treating their engine, brakes, or belts with spray and pray. Up next, I'll be diving into the truth about transmission flushes, what dealers don't tell you. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, drive safe, maintain smart, and I'll see you in the next one.